Vad är det här?
Det är morgon. Hon är så kall så allt hon rör vid fryser till is.
Tycker du om mina tavlor?
Det är fina, men det där är speciella.
I love the poster. I'm like, heck, that's like a very cool background and setup right behind.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you. Absolutely. Thank you for your patience and taking the time. Are you in Finland right now?
Yes, I am in Helsinki.
Oh, very nice. How's everything there?
Well, it's been a lovely sunny day, but I've been sitting in an editing room the whole day, so at least it's now, kind of sunny. It's
I see it
in the evening. Yeah.
There you go. Well, it's summer's upon us, so that's a good thing, longer days and everything. Well, I'm really happy to get to talk to you. I really enjoyed the film. I thought it was super interesting. And the funny part for me is, like, I grew up in Poland in Europe as a kid, and I remember watching the Moomins like as a cartoon. Like, that was my favorite cartoon that I would watch as a child. I didn't know that there was really books. I just thought it was always a cartoon. And I remember the characters, and it was so popular there. And we're talking about like mid 90s. And I had the toys too. They had toys, figurines and everything of the Moomins. So I grew up loving it, but I learned so much about the film, about Tove and where the origins of it. And let me ask you, like, since you are Finnish, this is a big part of your culture. Apparently, this is what every child pretty much grew up over the years with. Did you watch the Moomins as a child? Like, what kind of prompted you to tell this story of Tove? Because I would think by now, especially with such a, iconic person that she is, what she created, there would be a movie done already. I'm kind of surprised we're getting one in 2021. But tell me, what kind of wanted you to get started with to bring this story to life, her story?
Well, of course, I knew the Moomins. I was, maybe a 2 or 3 year old when I learned what Moomins are. And my 7-year-old son very much knows the Moomins. So they really are a part of your culture, a strong part of your culture. So, and Tove Jansson, I knew that there was this wonderful artist who existed, and I knew her mostly because of Moomins. And of course, later on, I learned that she was a great author and painter and whatnot, and all that about her character. But it was a lovely opportunity to dive into her world through this film. And as you said, it's crazy that there never was a movie about Tove Jansson. There are documentaries and biographies and everything, but this is the first fiction film. So it was scary as well to make this.
You mentioned first fiction film. How much truth did you get a biography of her? Like, where'd you get the research to kind of delve into, especially her personal life? Because I feel like a lot of the movie is about her as a woman and kind of her self-discovery. That's why I really was drawn, that it's kind of like a character, like a person trying to discover themselves and their sexuality in a lot of ways too. Where did that aspect of the film come for you, that part of the story?
Well, it came because, of course, here in Finland, everybody knows Tove Jansson, as said before, and we know her as this wise, gray-haired older lady who created the Moomins. So it felt important that we try to tell about her personal life, about the young artist Tove Jansson, about the young and ambitious painter Tove Jansson, before she became the famous Tove Jansson. So it felt important to shine a light to this love affair with Vivica Bandler, because it was really important for Tove. It opened up a whole new world for her when she was in her 30s. And it felt that it was nice to celebrate that part of her life also. And we wanted to create an intimate and honest portrait of this woman in her 30s who is still trying to find who she is and where she belongs, and that journey that never ends.
Yeah. It really was, to me, it kind of, I was kind of sad almost at the end, because I feel like she achieved the success. Like, things happened in her life that kind of unexpectedly. I didn't think she would ever envision the Moomins becoming such a phenomenon. I think it was very personal to her, something that she kept to herself, that she didn't want to share with the world. And it kind of became something that was absolutely shared with the world. But even in her love life, I felt kind of sad that it seemed like she loved and she tried to show love, but she never got it in return. That was kind of interesting to me to see that. How did she live? And later it's documented that she had a partner through her, older years in life, but through her younger years too, it's like, did she get to feel love really? Because it feels like she was a sort of a private person, but someone that tried to open up, but didn't get it in return. So I kind of felt sad in a way for her. Tell me about that kind of dynamic, about the love she felt in life, or she was looking for and not really getting it from the people she wanted to, from her father and of course Vivica.
Well, the thing is that she really wanted to become a great artist. And now we're talking about the woman after the Second World War in Europe, in Finland. And if you want to become an artist, you don't want to have a family and you can't have children in a way. As Tove Jansson wrote to her friend once, either I would be a bad mother or a bad artist. And she definitely didn't want to be a bad artist. So she dedicated her life in a way to art. But of course, she needed love, and then she wanted to love different people and needed love in return. But the thing is that I found really fascinating this part of her life, that she really tried to control her emotional life and her emotions, and she thought she could handle it. So when she fell in love with Vivica Bandler, that was when the problems really became, because there is this free-spirited independent artist who wants to stay free and independent, and then she falls in love with somebody who also wants to stay as free and independent as possible. And I think through this journey, Tove, if I dare to say so, learned to respect her own emotions and her own needs more. So even though there is this sadness that it really didn't happen with Vivica, they didn't really share a decade-long love story, there was still something exceptional and beautiful, that they shared this big love anyway, even though it didn't last for long, and they both got important things in return. So Tuulikki Pietilä, the woman Tove meets in the end of this movie, she was the one with whom she lived for the rest of her life. And maybe without Vivica, she wouldn't have been ready. So I like to think of it that way.
Interesting. Yes. I mean, I guess sometimes things work out maybe the way you don't foresee them or expect them, but they work out how they're supposed to be, in that way.
Take some time. Yeah.
Yeah. I was really, you see, the thing with Tove, she lived a long life. I'm happy to see, because some artists become famous after their death. They live a poor life, and they never see the fame and the kind of the people appreciating their work. They're long gone after that. I was happy to see that she was able to see people, kind of the worldwide love for her work. And she lived through that. She lived through kind of the riches of her work, and getting to see the world's, how the world reacted to it. How do you think she felt about fame and that celebrity that she got later on in life, and the money, because she grew up poor, obviously, but seeing kind of the riches of her work, did that make her happy, or how did she feel about kind of the way people viewed her in the world?
Well, that's the interesting part, because she wanted to be viewed as a great painter, and that never happened. So even though she got some recognition for her paintings, it never was the same like as the fame she got with the Moomins and the Moomin stories. So that must have been really difficult for her. So even though she got all this fame and all this money, in the end, she said that she hates Moomins and she can't stand to see them in her eyes.
Oh,
she choked a little bit, and of course, she loved them until the end in a way. But it was very difficult, the relationship she had with
Love-hate relationship, maybe.
characters. Sorry?
A love-hate relationship with these
Yes,
characters.
absolutely. Absolutely. And they brought her many wonderful good things because, of course, that they gave her the independence. Financially, she was able to do, she was able to paint, and she was able to write and all those things. But the way she spent most of her days, most of her life, was that she lived in this very tiny island, in a very tiny cottage with her loved partner, this Tuulikki Pietilä, and they tried to escape from the world. So that's a funny picture also, that you have all this fame and everybody loves you, and everybody's trying to find you, and there you are hiding in this lovely little island.
That's interesting. Were you able to connect with some of her family members? Was there a family kind of thing that seen the film or kind of guided you or helped you through the process? Was there any connection that you made with Tove's relatives throughout this filmmaking process?
Well, yes. We had the privilege to work together with Tove Jansson, who is Tove's niece.
Okay.
And that was a very important relationship to us, because she read the scripts and she commented on them, and still she gave us all the freedom in the world. And she was the one who said that, okay, everybody's going to have so many opinions and everybody has their way of seeing Tove, but you know, you just go forward and you do your own version of her and your own her own version. So it was a valuable cooperation with Sofia, and I'm happy to say that that she did like the film a lot.
That's good to hear. That always makes you, even though you had the freedom, which is great too as a filmmaker, to have that, not have that constraint and restraint, but you also see the appreciation. I think you kind of had the best of both worlds in that way, you know.
So. We were very lucky. Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about the Moomins itself. I was trying to figure out, watching the movie, did Tove base the characters on people in her life or herself? What connection did the characters have to her own personal life? I was trying to figure out who's who, or was there a connection to a certain character maybe?
Yes, there are many connections to certain characters. For example, the famous lovely Snufkin is it's more or less based on Aatos Virtanen, this leftist politician that Tove had the love affair with.
Yes.
And also Tingami and Bob represent Tove and Viivikka, more or less. Of course, they are like combinations of different real life characters, but yeah, they have their basis in real life, these Moomin characters.
That's good to know. Now, after seeing the movie, you know, watching as a child, you don't know that, but now seeing that there's so much more meaning to that, you know, where it comes from. That's great.
Very personal. Yeah.
That makes sense, because when you make something personal, it stands out, and it really shows in the characters too. Wanted to ask you about Alma. I thought she was so fantastic in this role, and you know, I never got to see footage or really of Tove, but she made her real, as she made her come to life. And I could only imagine it's tough to play such an iconic person, a real life person. How did you know she was the right person for this part? And not only look wise, when you compare pictures, they look very similar in their younger ages and whatnot, but just the way she did that role, I just thought it was a very, very good performance of something that must have been difficult to portray such an iconic person.
Thank you. That's so nice to hear. And I absolutely agree with you. I think she's an amazing actress. And we auditioned her, and I think she had all those characteristics that I was looking for. And there was, of course, she looked a bit like younger Tove, but there was also something, she had the intelligence and she had the playfulness. And then again, she had the flirtatiousness and the melancholy that was really important also. So there was this depth. So all those things that were so important to me, it felt like Alma understands that, and she very naturally brought that to the role. So I think she's absolutely wonderful. And I knew that this film, you know, she's carrying the whole film on her shoulders, and we come very close to her. And that was the idea, that she should be as vulnerable and as raw and really dare to do that and be, you know, really honest in front of the camera. And I think she did that, and I'm very grateful.
No, she should be very proud, because I think this movie with another actor could have been a different movie in a lot of ways too. So yeah, so that's kind of almost crazy to think that if she wasn't cast, well, what kind of movie would have we gotten, and what kind of portrayal? So I just think as good of a job from an outsider's point of view that she did. It was phenomenal. And final thing to ask you, I wanted to ask you is, doing this film, what did you learn from making it, and whether it's research or just the filming of it, what did you learn and that stayed with you? Is there something about this film that will stay with you for the rest of your life that meant something for you especially?
Well, now when you put it that way, I think it was such a privilege to be close to somebody like Tove Jansson. And she always considered curiosity and joy to be very important, life-sustaining things. And I think that idea of joy was so, it became my guideline too. You know, you have to play with things, and you have to bring joy in to everything you do, and definitely to everything creative you do. So I think that was something I will carry with me. And I'm not afraid of biopics anymore.
Oh, that's good.
But it was lovely to, you know, Tove Jansson is such a legendary person. She can handle all these versions we filmmakers make of her, and, you know, still they can inspire more people. So it was worth it, I think.
Oh, absolutely. I think you did a phenomenal job. And like you said, biopics can be scary because you need to honor the real person. It's not a fictional character. And especially someone like Tove, where the whole world knows about her and her work. So that's a lot on your shoulders. But I think you and Alma and the whole cast and crew did such a phenomenal job. And I learned a lot about her life, and just kind of, I think she was a woman ahead of her time in a lot of ways. I think she was kind of a future woman in so way, in her thinking and her art and creativity and spirit. And yes. I love that you brought that to life in the film, and I learned so much more from it. So thank you so much for the work you've done. I really enjoyed it, and I hope people get to see it, because I thought it was fantastic.
I hope so. I hope so too. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Zaida. Appreciate it. Thank you for your time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thank you.